Morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Chilly one, but warmer together. Welcome to First Universalist Yarmouth, everyone. I'm Reverend Hillary. I serve as the minister here, and I am so glad to be greeting you this morning. A warm welcome to all gathered here in our sanctuary, as well as to friends joining us virtually on Zoom.
Good morning. I'm Gwen Matthews, Director of Education and Communications. Here at First Universalist, our mission is to explore our faith, embrace this community, and engage the world as spiritual seekers. May we take these words to heart.
And good morning, I'm Mac. I'm the youth coordinator here at First U. If it's your first time in our congregation, welcome. If you're new here, we invite you to fill out a connection card located in the front of your pew. That will connect you to programs that might interest you. You can drop this in the offering plate when it's passed around later in our service.
And following our service, all are invited to join us downstairs for coffee hour, our time of fellowship and snacks in the gathering room right below us.
Now, you may have not realized it when you came through these doors this morning, but you've chosen an extra special Sunday to come to church. Today is Exploration Sunday, a service we've co-designed with our Adult RE Council.
This morning we'll be holding a shorter traditional service, and then all will be welcome to join one of 4 classes rooted in our UU values taking place around the church building. These classes will go till about noon, 11:45 noon, but if you need to leave earlier, that's okay.
As you can see in our order of worship, we'll still have many of our beloved service elements.
And later on in the service, we'll also get to choose our own educational, explorational, multi-generational adventure.
So it is with peace and friendship that we say, whoever you are,
whomever you love,
whatever it is you've done or haven't done,
whether you love the excitement of doing something new this morning,
or prefer the comfort of routine and structure of a typical service,
you are welcome here, and we're so glad that you too have joined us in peace and friendship this morning.
Now, before we begin our service, Sarah has one announcement to make.
Hey everyone. We are right in the middle, or a little beyond the middle of our annual campaign, and it's going well. Huge thanks to everyone who has made their annual commitment to the next year, which begins in July. So the question we ask, we have a different question each week. Today, the question in your Sunday morning news is, how much should I give? The numbers are right there, the high, the low, the middle. And yet, how much the answer to this question really comes from a deeper, much more personal place. What are your resources? How much of that can you give? And what is your connection to First U? How are you nourished here? And what hopes do you have for the world we're creating? With the generosity of everyone doing their best, we will be able to pay our minister and staff very fairly. And we also hope to be able to increase staff hours for all the programming and support that our congregation is looking for. So thank you again. Thank you for doing what you can. And please see me or Marge. Right? She has pledge cards and information. We can answer questions. Please see us downstairs. And thanks in every way.
Thanks, Sarah, and thank you everyone for your generosity. Friends, I now invite you to take a deep breath in. Perhaps stretch a little bit, center into this space. And when you're ready, will you rise as you are able in body and spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, Wake Now My Senses, number 298. We will sing the first 3 verses.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call.
And as you remain risen, friends, will you join me in the words of our unison affirmation written in your order of worship? We are united in seeking to increase love with justice and to constitute a free church open to all people, mindful of our past and drawing upon modern knowledge. We respond to the spiritual needs of persons and are devoted to the common good in community, nation, and world. We cherish the integrity of each individual and search for truth with reason as our guide. We respect differences of opinion and strive to be a democratic community. We are concerned with this world and open to the future. Thank you. You may be seated, friends. And I invite Gwen and Mac to light our chalice this morning.
All right. Would any children like to come forward and help us light our chalice this morning? Do we have any kids today? School vacation, so everyone. Hi, Mira.
Hi, Mira.
Hello, Jetta. Oh.
Penguin guy.
All right. Do you remember the words we said? Okay. We light our chalice in peace and friendship. Thank you.
Oh. And with peace and friendship, I want to note that today marks an important day in our state, a day that faith communities across all of Maine are calling a Sabbath for gun safety awareness. And here in this sacred building, in this beloved community, we are being called to talk about the impacts of gun violence, which has risen in our state by 20% just this year. And we're called to explore and find ways to reduce this unnecessary harm. And so today and going forward, I invite you to join me, beloveds, and join many of our neighbors in faith in calling for legislative action to ensure background checks and red flag laws and waiting periods and bans on assault weaponry. And I ask you to join me in holding and comforting the pain experienced by so many due to gun violence, and to respond to this unnecessary pain by empowering ourselves, not to live in fear and hate, but rather with radical love and courageous action. Now is the time. Every 67 hours, someone is harmed or killed by gun violence in Maine. Every 67 hours. Now is the time. Enough already. Now is the time. And along with the importance of this day here in Maine, this day in history also holds great power, as it is the birthday of both Audre Lorde and Toni Morrison and Yoko Ono. We'll celebrate her at another time. Quite a powerful day. Two women, Audre Lorde and Toni Morrison, who spoke truth to power and whose spirits will forever insist that we harness our collective power to end all forms of oppression and violence here and everywhere. And so to pay respect where respect is due and to fortify us in our necessary anti-oppression work, I want to offer readings from these warriors of the spoken and written word. And the first I offer is from Audre Lorde, who is known to introduce herself by saying, "I am a Black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet, doing my work, coming to ask you if you're doing yours." I'm trying, Audre, I'm trying. I read from her essay, "The Transformation of Silence into Language." She writes, Each of us is here now because in one way or another we share a commitment to language and the power of language and to the reclaiming of the language that has been made to work against us. In the transformation of silence into language and action, it is vitally necessary for each one of us to establish or examine our function in that transformation and to recognize our role as vital within that transformation. We must share and spread the words that are meaningful to us. And more than anything, we must teach by living and speaking the truths we believe and know beyond understanding, because this way alone, we can survive, taking part in a process of life that is creative and continuing. That is growth. And from Toni Morrison, writer of so many necessary, powerful, and banned books, I offer a teaching that just rolled off her tongue in conversation with Oprah 20 years ago. She said, I tell my students, when you get these jobs that you've been so brilliantly trained for, just remember that your real job is that if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. This is not just a grab bag candy game. This is the time for every artist in every genre to do what they do loudly and consistently. It doesn't matter to me what your position is. You've got to keep asserting the complexity and the originality of life and the multiplicity of it and the facets of it. This is about being a complex human being in the world, not about finding and blaming a villain. This is no time for anything else than the best that you've got. Respect where respect is due, Toni and Audrey. And with that, we now come to a moment in our service that we set aside for quiet prayer and meditation. This is a time for reflection, for prayers, for just breathing, being here now. Following this quiet, I'll ring a chime, and all will be welcome to come forward and light a candle for a joy, sorrow, or concern you have today. But first, won't you join me in taking a deep, refreshing breath in, a calming breath out, and enjoy a sacred moment of silence.
During this month's theme of justice and equity, we embrace housing first as the essential first step for unhoused people. This month's offering is shared with Tedford Housing in Brunswick, whose mission is to empower people to move from homelessness to home. Tedford Housing's central belief is that everyone deserves to have a safe and affordable home. They provide emergency homeless shelter, supportive housing for previously unhoused families and individuals, as well as housing prevention services. Plans are underway to significantly increase their capacity to address the growing unmet needs. For those in the sanctuary this morning, we will be passing the offering plate to one another. For those gathered with us online, you are invited to make your offering using the donate button in the order of worship or by dropping a check in the mail. Regardless of how you contribute this morning, thank you.
Thanks, Sam. I love that movie. Friends, will you rise in body and spirit and join in singing our song of thanksgiving? The short lyrics are writ in your order of service. Thank you all for your generosity. You may be seated. So, with the fourth principle of our faith, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning as our guiding light, our worship service does not end here, but rather shifts now into a different realm, a realm of exploration. In a moment, you are welcome and encouraged to join one of 4 classes led by teachers from our congregation taking place throughout the building. These classes are listed in your order of worship, but for the auditory learners in the room, here is the rundown. Our resident European history scholar, Kathy McKenna, will be teaching a history of seekers and free thinkers here in the sanctuary. And friends on Zoom, you'll be able to join this class. Raj Venakata, president of the Institute of Citizens and Scholars, is offering a workshop on raising good citizens right downstairs in the gathering room where coffee hour generally takes place. Adult RE leader and intrepid spiritual seeker, Ann Turner, hi Ann, is leading a spiritual journey map-making course in the common room, which if you go downstairs and walk down the hallway is right on your left. And Sam is holding multi-generational music making in the nursery for children of all ages. If you are confused by that or have questions, Gwen and I will be floating around and available to help direct you somewhere or answer any questions you have. And I will say, friends, the hardest part of what lies ahead is that you must choose one class and commit to it. We are not bouncing around from class to class. It is a free, responsible, and singular search for truth and meaning that we promote today. And with that, right on time, Gwen. How about that? That's wild. The time has come for us to go exploring, beloveds. Classes begin in about 8 minutes. If we had a bell, we'd ring it. Our service this morning continues and will later conclude in these learning spaces. And I look forward to catching up with you all during coffee hour and hearing what you discovered. All right, let's go exploring, shall we?